Hey man, let's talk about something no one ever really teaches you. Not your dad, not your friends, and definitely not the movies. It's this: how do you reward a woman, give her affection, appreciation, love, without handing over your spine in the process? How do you express warmth without losing your edge? Because let's be honest, most guys either go too far or not far enough. They're either cold and disconnected, or they're pouring themselves out like water in the desert, begging for her attention, hoping she sees them, hoping she finally values what they offer. But here's the truth that flips the game. It's not about giving less, it's about giving from power, not from desperation. See, when you reward her correctly, you're not just saying "I like you" or "you're important." You're shaping the entire energy of the relationship. You're setting the tone. You're creating standards. You're saying, "This is what I value. This is what earns my time, my energy, my presence." The problem most men have is they confuse love with approval. They think being available equals being strong. But availability without boundaries isn't strength, it's surrender. And when a woman senses that you've surrendered your standards for her attention, she may smile, but deep down, something dies. Her respect, her curiosity, her desire. You've got to understand something primal here. Women are wired to test, not because they're cruel, not because they want to hurt you, but because deep in their core, they want to feel your strength. Not just physical strength, emotional sovereignty. Can you hold your center when she's hot and cold? Can you stay calm when she pulls away? Can you give her a gift without needing a thank you, without needing her to gush over you, without needing her to validate you for being such a good man? Because when you can, that's power. So how do you reward her correctly? First, you wait. You don't give your best too early. You don't compliment her every second she breathes. You observe, you study, you watch how she handles your presence. Is she warm, consistent, emotionally intelligent? Or is she erratic, emotionally manipulative, and entitled? Most men reward beauty, but a high-value man rewards behavior. He rewards grace. He rewards consistency. He rewards actions that reflect the kind of feminine energy he's willing to invest in. There's a quiet kind of strength in restraint. The ability to look at her and say, "I'm into you, but I'm not intoxicated by you." That balance is magnetic. It tells her that your reward isn't cheap, that your love isn't automatic, that you don't fall for everyone who gives you a little attention, and that's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her try harder, because now she knows she has to earn what you give, and earning is what makes it meaningful. Let's be real here, bro. Rewarding a woman isn't just about romance, it's about leadership, it's about direction, it's about teaching her how to treat you by what you respond to. If she brings peace, you bring presence. If she brings chaos, you bring distance, not as punishment, but as feedback. You're telling her, "This version of you doesn't work for me." And when she brings her best self, that's when you open up. That's when you reward. That's when you show her that loving you is worth it. You don't reward her because you're afraid of losing her. You reward her because you see value in what she's bringing to the table. That shift in mindset changes everything. It puts you back in the frame. It turns you from a man who chases to a man who chooses. And when you choose from abundance, not from need, you naturally hold more power. Your energy becomes cleaner. Your boundaries become stronger. Your worth becomes felt, not explained. You've probably heard it said, what you allow is what will continue. But here's the deeper truth. What you reward is what will expand. If you reward emotional immaturity, you'll get more of it. If you reward passive-aggressive behavior, you'll see it again. If you reward drama with attention, she learns that drama equals connection. But when you only reward emotional depth, stability, grace, and authenticity, that's what she starts to amplify. Not because she's being fake, but because you've given her a map. There's a big difference between a man who rewards to manipulate and a man who rewards to reinforce. One is desperate, the other is disciplined, and women can feel that. The disciplined man, he's got patience. He's not looking to impress, he's looking to build something real. And because he's willing to withhold his energy until the moment is right, when he finally does give it, it lands, it hits her soul, because now it's not just a compliment, it's a recognition. Bro, let's talk about compliments for a second. One of the most overused, diluted currencies in a man's arsenal. You know what makes a compliment powerful? Rarity, timing, truth. If you're telling her she's beautiful every 5 minutes, it stops registering. But if you pause, observe, wait for her to really shine, maybe in how she handles a hard conversation, maybe in how she shows up for you emotionally, and then you look her in the eye and say, "That was beautiful," it lands, it stays with her, it becomes a moment. Rewards are about calibration. That means being in tune, watching her patterns, understanding what she responds to and when. You're not handing out praise like a robot. You're crafting moments. You're saying, "I saw that, I felt that, I value that." And in doing so, you're creating a feedback loop where her feminine energy starts to trust your masculine leadership, not because you're dominating her, but because you're guiding the relationship into something higher. Let me tell you something that might sting. If you feel like you have to constantly reward her to keep her interested, she's not the one, or worse, you're not the man yet, because the right woman doesn't need to be bribed to stay connected. She stays because she feels your clarity, she feels your integrity, she feels your presence. And when you reward her from that place, when it's not about manipulation, but about deep mutual respect, that's when everything shifts. Sometimes the most powerful reward is presence. Not a gift, not a text, not a post on social media. Just presence. Undivided, unhurried, unfiltered. When a woman gets your full attention as a result of her effort, she treasures it, because now it's sacred. Now it's rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. Don't be afraid to withhold when it's necessary. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. It tells her that you're not ruled by impulse, that your energy isn't scattered, that your rewards mean something because they cost something, and what costs something is worth something. That's the law of nature, that's the law of attraction, that's the law of masculine-feminine dynamics. If you truly want to master this, if you want to know how to reward her in a way that deepens connection without handing her the steering wheel, then you've got to understand the emotional language of power. And power, in this case, isn't about force, it's about clarity. The clarity to know that your reward is a mirror. It reflects her energy right back at her. If she brings peace, love, maturity, and sensuality, you reflect that with depth, attention, and grounded affection. But if she brings chaos and disrespect, you don't shout, you withdraw. Not in anger, in principle. See, here's the thing. Most men don't understand. Silence can be a reward, and distance can be a lesson. When you pull back, not because you're offended, but because you're calibrated, you create space for her to reflect. Women respect men who don't react to every ripple on the surface. They respect a man who holds his center while the emotional tides rise and fall. So if she's testing you, pulling back, being passive-aggressive or cold, your reward is not more effort. Your reward is patience, space, calm detachment. That teaches her more than any words ever could. Now, let's talk about emotional rewards. When she shows real vulnerability, when she shares her fears, her childhood wounds, her real truth, that's not a moment to be stoic. That's a moment to lean in, to reward her softness with your grounded presence. But even here, there's a balance. You hold her, but you don't rescue her. You listen, but you don't fix. You let her feel seen, but you don't make her emotions your responsibility. That way, she learns that she can be vulnerable with you without controlling you. And that's massively attractive to a feminine woman. The real challenge, bro, is this. Don't reward anxiety. Don't reward panic. Don't reward desperation, hers or yours. If she's blowing up your phone after an argument, trying to guilt trip you into engagement, you don't reward that by instantly replying and giving her emotional relief. That teaches her that chaos gets her attention. Instead, wait. Let the storm pass. Let her feel what it's like to not have your energy the moment she spirals. That's not cruelty, that's teaching her emotional responsibility. Let's flip the script now. Suppose she does something beautiful, she plans something thoughtful, she supports you without being asked. She surprises you with her feminine care. What do? You make it matter. You don't just say thanks. You stop what you're doing, look her in the eye, and let your body show appreciation. A touch, a kiss, a pause. Because the most powerful rewards aren't loud, they're intentional. It's your presence that tells her, I saw what you did, and it moved me. That kind of reward creates loyalty. You know what else is a reward? Consistency. Not in how much you give, but in the quality of your presence. A man who shows up with the same grounded clarity, whether she's loving or moody, that man is unforgettable, because women live in emotion, and when they find a man who doesn't waver every time the emotional weather shifts, they anchor to him. They test less, they bloom more, because now they feel safe to be fully feminine. But don't get it twisted, this isn't about suppressing your emotions. You're not a robot. You're not here to tolerate bad behavior in the name of stoicism. You're here to model what healthy love looks like. And that means you reward what aligns with your values and you withdraw from what violates them. Not with anger, but with certainty. That's leadership. That's masculinity. Bro, one of the most underrated rewards you can offer is inviting her into your world, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, intellectually. When she's earned that spot, you share your dreams, your passions, your fears, not as a way to impress, but as a way to bond. Women want to feel included in the vision of a man they admire, but if you give that access too soon, too freely, without any filter, she won't value it. So guard your world, and open it only when she's shown she's worthy of the keys. There's another layer to this. Don't reward performance. If she's only being sweet because she wants something, feel that. Don't pretend not to notice. Real feminine energy isn't transactional, it's expressive. If you reward manipulation, even subtly, you're training her to play games. But if you gently call it out or simply go quiet, she starts to realize that authenticity is the currency you value most. And finally, remember this, your energy is the ultimate reward. If you make her feel like she's the sun in your sky every single day, regardless of how she treats you, she'll start to take that light for granted. But if your energy flows in response to her respect, her warmth, her femininity, then she'll start to offer those more consistently, because she'll understand that being with you is not a given, it's a gift. One of the most subtle but powerful forms of reward is your attention, but only when it's focused and earned. Most guys think attention is a neutral gift, but it's not. It's a signal of value transfer. When you pour your attention into her just because you're bored or lonely, it tells her that your time isn't sacred, that your eyes, ears, and energy are just floating, looking for a place to land. But when you make your attention something she has to earn, something that flows from a calm, secure place, it becomes priceless. She starts to move differently. She starts to value your presence, not because it's rare, but because it's earned. And that's the real reward, showing her that your love isn't cheap. Now let's talk about rewards that don't look like rewards at all. Boundaries. Bro, boundaries are not walls, they're maps. They teach her where the treasure is buried. They teach her how to navigate you, how to respect your time, your peace, your values. And when she honors those boundaries, when she shows you that she listens, you reward that with access, with softness, with attention. But if you reward her when she crosses your boundaries, just because you want to keep the peace, then you're training her to bulldoze through your soul. And the craziest part, she'll lose respect for you and not even know why. So remember, boundaries are the compass of masculine reward. There's a secret, bro, that most men will never understand. Withholding is also a reward. Not in a manipulative way, but in a masculine, principled way. When you hold back your energy, your compliments, your softness, not to punish, but to preserve your power, you create tension. And feminine energy thrives on that tension. That moment where she wonders, why isn't he chasing me like the others? That spark of doubt doesn't make her pull away, it pulls her in. It makes her want to earn your warmth. So when you finally do offer a kind word, a touch, or an intimate gesture, it lands like fire on ice. That's what makes her obsessed. Not your words, but your restraint. Let's not forget about time. Your time is the rarest currency you have. Don't just spend it freely because she's pretty or fun. Spend it when there's alignment, when there's mutual respect, when she brings peace into your life, not chaos. And when you do give your time, be fully there. Put your phone away, look her in the eye, make her feel like no one else exists. That's a reward that hits deep. But the moment she takes your time for granted, you take it back, quietly, firmly, without drama. That teaches her what no lecture ever could. I don't beg for space in anyone's life. I offer it, and it's earned. The art of masculine reward is also the art of surprise. When she expects you to pull away, but you lean in. When she expects you to be cold but you're warm, on your terms, that's when her emotions spike. Because unpredictability isn't confusion, it's fascination. When she doesn't know exactly how you'll respond, but she trusts your core, that's when she gets hooked. So don't be robotic. Be unreadable but trustworthy. Cold when necessary. Warm when deserved. Mysterious but safe. That's the dance that keeps her chasing without even knowing why. Bro, sometimes the best reward you can give her is your leadership. When you say, "We're doing this," and she sees that you've thought it through, that it's coming from strength and calm, not ego, she melts. Women crave leadership from men who are anchored, not controlling, not aggressive, but clear. So when she aligns with your direction, when she trusts your guidance, you reward her with reassurance, with appreciation, with shared vision. That doesn't make her your follower, it makes her your partner. But it only works when your leadership is rooted in depth, not domination. Another reward few talk about is emotional stability. When she brings her storms, her moods, her tests, and you don't flinch, don't overreact, don't collapse into anxiety, that is deeply attractive. Your calm is a sanctuary, and when she starts to feel that she can return to you again and again and find stillness, you become irreplaceable. But don't confuse that with being her emotional punching bag. You stay stable and you have boundaries. You show her that your peace is not for sale. But when she brings her truth with respect, you hold space like a king. Here's something most guys never master: rewarding her mind. When she shares an insight, when she challenges you intelligently, when she brings a perspective that adds value, you don't dismiss it, you honor it. You make her feel seen, not just for her beauty, but for her mind. That's rare. That makes her feel like she's with a man who's not intimidated by her strength, but attracted to it. That's the kind of reward that builds intellectual intimacy, the kind that lasts longer than looks. And maybe the most powerful reward of all, your absence. When you're willing to walk away, not to manipulate, but to protect your value, you send the clearest message of all: I am whole without you. I want you, but I don't need you. That energy is magnetic, because most women are used to men who beg, who fold, who fear abandonment. But when you can walk away from someone you love because your standard is non-negotiable, that's rare. And women chase what's rare. So here's the final truth, bro. Your reward must always be anchored in self-respect. Not in mood, not in emotion, not in fear, but in principle. When she sees that your love flows from strength, not scarcity, that your energy is sacred, not scattered, she'll value every word, every gesture, every moment with you. Because now you're not just a man, you're a standard. You're the mountain she can climb, the mystery she can't quite solve, the peace she keeps returning to. And that is how you reward her correctly, without ever losing your power.